Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. This is Sister Lil, and something has been bothering me, and I wanted to come on and just speak to you briefly about it. My son Evans and I were discussing the slogan, God Bless America. Evans says, I hate that song, God Bless America, because when he thinks of all of the oppression and things that have been done by Americans who have say that they represent and love this country. It's distasteful for him. So I'm going to title this God Bless America versus America Bless God. First of all, why are we continuingly to ask Yahuah for his blessings? Do we not know he's not an enabler? We have had hundreds of years to get it right. We have done nothing of the kind. We're getting worse. We oppress the poor. We have no respect for the elderly. We have no respect for our children. We don't even value family life any longer. We vote for people who are making legal murder, making murder acceptable. They're legalizing murder. We're doing all of these things, and then we say, God bless America. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not a political rant. You do what you can live with. As I tell people when they talk to me about my beliefs, this is what I have decided. You do what you can live with. I'm not trying to tell anybody else what to do. But when I really stop and think about it, how hypocritical we are. We jump and we shout and we carry on and we dance and we say, God did it for me. Nobody can stop what God has for me. Then we turn around and we do strange things. America has spat in the eyes of Yahuah. America brought Father's chosen people over here from on transatlantic, the ones who had the original covenant with Yahuah. We're not talking about the ones in Israel. We know those are people who have studied Judaism. We're talking about the ones that Father made the original covenant with, Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham. We're talking about that descendant. A lot of us are said to be descendants of them because we came through the tribe of Judah. They knew exactly where we were located in Africa. They went there. The Nigerians did not like us. They looked down upon us and they gladly sold us for sugar and other things, spices. But let's go back to that. Let's leave that alone because it looks like to me they're not interested in making any kinds of amendments for what they have done there. So we leave that alone. You look at how we wait until a person retires and they can hardly live on what they have. You raise the property taxes, you do all of these things. And I know you're going to say, well, the schools have to be supported, the bus services have to be supported, and all citizens have to pay their fair share. But you continually do things to make people who work years to maintain the type of home they want, when they retire, they end up having to sell it because they can't afford it, or either sometimes it is the structure of the home and it will no longer accommodate their needs. So that's the case in a lot of the cases. But when you stop and think about how we have harmed people, how we change the rules when we want to, we have no problem with being vulgar. We use all kinds of language. We have no moral standards. We've reduced ourselves down to nothing but just a flesh-eating society. We have no respect for God and nothing else. We go to church and dance on Sundays, and on Mondays we're doing our own thing. We make up our own rules as we go along. We have forgotten what Yahusha said. In order to love his father Yahuah, you had to love him with all of you, to keep his commandments. That was the first commandment, the greatest commandment is to keep his commandments. That's how you show you love him. You love him with all your heart, mind, and soul. And the second is that you love your neighbor as yourself. If you see the 10 commandments, and they all will fall up under the category of those two scriptures, we're breaking them. We're not talking about just adultery and murdering people, but all of the things that we're doing. We have idols. We've made idols of ourselves, of our children, of our homes, of our education, of many things. And this is not any certain party. This is the people of America. So we say, Yahuah bless America. I have a question for you. Why should he? Do you believe that Yahuah is an enabler? Do you think he will continue to enable us in our filth? And do you think the ones of us who say that we're Jesus followers, we can continue to parade around and act like nothing is going on, pick out the rules we want to obey, and then we holler, God bless America? Now, I am aware of the fact that America is a multinational country. It has people here from many nations, and they don't all claim to be practicing Christianity. But a lot of times, I think when people say that they are Christian, they just mean this is the umbrella they go up under. Maybe they went to church when they were little, their grandparents were Christians, but you cannot inherit that. This is something you have to be born into. You can't join into. So we want Yahuah to continue to bless us. He has blessed us. We have gone over on other people's soil and we've killed their citizens. And the men who are working for them probably don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They're doing what they're ordered to do. But when they come back to the country, we make no amends for them to be taken care of. It should not be one homeless veteran on the streets, whether he's mentally ill, whatever, he's addicted, then there should be some way of meeting that veteran's needs. Now, I'm under the impression that many men come back with PTSD and their families are afraid of them. That I can understand. Because if you're jumping up in the middle of the night and they don't know if you'll get a gun from someplace and kill them all, I can understand that. So this is not any anger to what the families, people do what they have to do to survive. But I'm talking about America as a whole. Those men went over there and shed their blood. They fought for what you told them to do, because they took a pledge to do what the president says and what their superior officers told them to do. They don't have a say about it. They obey the government much better than our children obey us. And most parents wish they could get their children to obey them the way the soldiers obey the government. But yet they come back broken, torn, many times turning into alcoholics and drug addicts. And we continue to say, God bless America. God bless me. America has no respect for its children. We want to pass laws so parents no longer have the authority of their children. And Father God gave parents that authority. If you have a father in the home, dad is supposed to be making sure that everything is running well in that home. But our children can come home and say, today I feel like a girl. And a boy can say, I feel like a girl. And then we're supposed to give him a skirt because he feels like a girl. A girl comes home and say, I feel like a boy. And we're supposed to go along with her and give her pants to wear because she feels like a boy. Even coming into our homes telling us that we don't have the right to take our children to be delivered if we think that they they're another orientation. So they take away your parental rights. But now I tell you what, if you neglect them, you don't feed them, and you don't provide a warm place for them to live, they can come and take your children from you because you have not been a good parent. But yet being a good parent might mean taking my child for deliverance. I can't do that because then I'm going against, this is abuse. So you see, we look at all of these sins. And as I said, there are many religions that are being practiced over here, and many people who sang and calling themselves Christians, even the ones who go to church, they are just going to church, but they are not really connected to Yahuah to the point where they want to live the way he told them to live, because they see this as too hard and it doesn't make sense. Everybody should have a chance to be young and enjoy themselves. And we still say, Yahuah, God bless America. Again, I ask you, do you think Yahuah is an enabler? Do you think he'll enable your foolishness? But I'm going to turn it around and say, America, bless Yahuah. America, look at what he's done for you. Look at how you've lived with too much of food to eat. In other countries, some of them are starving. Look how he's made provisions for you, particularly those of my nationality, to send your children to college, to have better housing, to do things that your parents and grandparents can even think of doing. I say to you, how are you blessing him back? Again, why should we not bless him? Those of us who are Jesus followers, and this is for Jesus followers only. We should be keeping his commandments, trying every day to keep his commandments, crying out and asking him, Father, what must I do to please you? Because those of us who have been in the wilderness, we remember what it was like in the wilderness. And when we were in the wilderness, we cried out. Oh, I remember my wilderness days. I mean, I used to write and write and write, and I would write letters to Father, and I said, Lord, don't let me die in the wilderness. Help me to make it to the promised land. And I will be the first to admit that when things got better for me, I had so many other responsibilities. I wasn't giving Father the kind of attention that I should have been giving him. But when I was in that when I was in that wilderness, baby, oh, I was crying out, I was typing up, oh, I was writing paper after paper. I mean, it just seemed like to me my gifts flowed so much better. And this is a shame to say, when I was in the wilderness, I could listen to a sermon and just tear it apart and decide what wasn't right, what I knew how to put the scriptures and I could rewrite it. But it looks like I've lost a lot of that. I was just thinking, it seems like to me I have lost a lot of that, because I think when you are down and you in a hard press, the best of you come out. Now, I know this is not God's way for us to live continually under pressure, but all believers are going to suffer because we identify with Christ with that suffering. So again, I say, America, bless Yahuah, bless him with keeping his commandments, bless him with passing bills and laws, voting for bills and laws to be passed that coincide with his will. Because we know politicians are not deacons and they're not claiming to be born again. They are running the government. But as long as we are voting, we can vote for people who will align themselves to a certain extent, because none of them are right. I don't think nobody's right, but to 100%, but to a certain extent. And then we can say, Yahuah, I bless you. I'm going to raise my children after you. We're going to, in our homes, we're going to live the life that you told us to live. We are going to talk about you. We're going to set an example of who you were and who you are today. We're going to raise our children to be pure and to keep themselves from marriage. We're going to promote marriage. We're going to promote our wife being a helpmate. We're going to promote a man not being abusive, but a protector to his wife. We're going to promote all of those things. We're going to go and see about the homeless, as you told us, because that shows pure religion. We're going to see about the widows. We're going to write to the people who are lonely, to the people who maybe would never reach out to anyone else. We will be a friend to them. We're going to bless you, Yahuah. This is how we're going to bless you. We're going to bless you to stand for righteousness. If we're standing somewhere and everybody is on the wrong track, and we look and see this is not right, we will not cross that line. We will stand. Even if we are punished, we will stand, because that's what you would have us to do. We're going to bless you. And then in the end, we're going to bless you, because we're going to keep ourselves holy before you. Our bodies are just going to be the temple of your Holy Spirit. And then when we go and our souls are separated from our bodies, we expect to hear you say, well done, my true and faithful servant. You are blessing me back, but I'm going to bless you. And I ask you, instead of always hollering about God bless America, let's see how we can bless Yahuah. Let's bless him with our lives. Let's bless him with everything that we have. Let's live a life where other people can see that we are the light of the world. You don't light a candle and put it on the bushel, but you put it out so it can draw other people. So I'm going to say to you again today, I told Evans I was going to do this, but that song upsets him when he hears it. So I told him I was going to do this. I was going to make a video on God bless America versus America bless God, Yahuah. We will bless him. So I'm going to say in my household, I'm going to say that I'm going to try to bless him rather than asking him to give us, because God will not continue to close his eyes to the sin that Americans are committing. And on top of that, he will not enable our foolishness. Thank you. Today is Sunday, December the 3rd, year 2024, and the time is 9:18 p.m. So God bless you and God be with you. I love you, brothers and sisters, in Yahushua's name. Good night.